Hey everybody! I had some time to film a bonus video for September, and I thought it would be fun to do a 3-color challenge. I've seen this a lot with Copic markers, but I wanted to try something a little bit different, so I thought I would use this Arteza gouache that I've used in a video before. I'll link that if you haven't seen it. So I have all of my gouache paints in a box, and I'm going to fold this flap over so that I can't see what I'm picking, but you guys can see. So let's pick 3 random colors.
I don't know if I'm in frame.
Okay, so I've picked colors. You guys have seen them. I have not. Let's figure out what I picked. Okay, so we kind of have a primary palette, but it's the very light colors. So here's my color swatch. So we have mid-yellow, which is not the lightest yellow, it's kind of a warm yellow. We have peach red, which is very strangely named because it's effectively highlighter pink. And we have sky blue, which I know from experience is not a very good mixing color, so that's interesting. Right now I'm just doing some swatches and mixing in my sketchbook, so I'm just going to speed that process up. I want to head off anyone who thinks I may have peeked at the colors I was picking. I didn't. I apologize for the lack of face cam. I'm just not at a state where I feel comfortable presenting on camera yet. And on top of that, I only have one camera, and it's pointed down. I do want to say I would not have picked a primary palette if I were peeking, though. It kind of defeats the purpose and opens up to too many color mixing options. I think next time I do this, I'll try to do it in a medium that doesn't allow for mixing as well as paint does. For instance, I might do a 3-color marker challenge. I would have especially not picked specifically sky blue and peach red. The latter of which, peach red, I discovered has its own problems, which I'll get into later. The line art is something I sketched digitally, printed, and traced onto watercolor paper. I actually made it into a downloadable coloring page, which I'll link in the description if you want it. I decided with this palette to try the rainbow skin technique, which I've seen a few people use. Arlie Bean on YouTube has a Skillshare class on this technique, which admittedly I haven't seen, but I guarantee it's going to be better than my explanation, so I'll link that below too. Basically, I tried to exaggerate the natural undertones in the skin. So around the eyes, people typically have spots of red close to the waterline and blue bags underneath their eyes. The nose, cheeks, and ears are also usually red. I used blues in the shadows and yellow as kind of a filler tone where skin was generally more neutral. I did a practice page in my sketchbook on stream. I'll link to my Twitch page in the description. biggest challenge I encountered with these colors is that they're all so light, it's impossible to get anything darker than a lightish midtone. So, the girl has lighter than porcelain skin. I'd like to try to do a rainbow skin tone with somebody with darker skin at some point. It's just not something that I could have accomplished with this particular palette. I also wasn't able to mix a great looking green, so I had to keep that in mind when picking subject matter. I wanted to leverage the vibrancy of the pink and the mixes that the pink could make. And I've also been enamored by jewel beetles recently, so I included one, although I had to change the colors because I couldn't mix green. I ended up using the gouache much more like watercolor this time, because the piece I had planned was so predominantly white, and it was much easier to leverage the white of the page, rather than go through an entire tube of white. Doing so also let the colors tone themselves down, which was a real challenge with that pink. mushrooms off to the side, I mixed as neutral a color as I could with the 3 primaries, and used that as the base for all of the mushrooms so that they stood out from the figure. A note on the peach red paint, apparently that pigment doesn't scan, like, at all. I've never seen anything like it. I was fully expecting the pink to get washed out, but the pigment got completely stripped out of the purples and oranges that I mixed with that color too. It's hard to capture on camera, but peach red is a very poorly named, hot, fluorescent highlighter pink. I'm thinking maybe it's such a fluorescent color that it over-reflected in the scanner and acted like white. I'm not sure. Thankfully, I was able to colorize the photo in Photoshop, so I will be offering prints of this painting on my Redbubble. But if you're going to be using those paints, keep that in mind. I don't think it's light fast either. Most bright pinks aren't light fast. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking around. Subscribe and tap the little bell icon so you know exactly when I upload. I usually upload once a month, but I'd like to upgrade my studio so filming is more streamlined and I can make videos more frequently. My biggest hurdle right now is my camera battery. My current Patreon goal is to get a spare so I don't have to constantly stop filming to charge the only one I have. So if you like what I'm doing here, consider heading over there and supporting me for as little as $1 a month. It means a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.